So, you've probably seen the big headlines from Google and Anthropic, right? But honestly, the real story, the thing that's completely rewriting the software industry, it's this explosion of something called vibe coding.
And what's wild is that just a few months ago, this term didn't even exist. It all started with this single tweet on February 2nd from Andrej Karpathy. He nailed it. He called it vibe coding. This new way of working, where you just fully give in to the vibes, forget the code even exists, and you just let the LLM do its thing. Because they're getting that good.
So, what is vibe coding exactly? Well, think of it like this. English is now your programming language. You're not writing syntax anymore. You're just describing what you want the software to do. And the large language model, it translates that whole vision into actual, working code. It handles all the nitty-gritty stuff for you.
And this idea it absolutely blew up. I mean, look at this timeline. In January, the term vibe coding literally did not exist. Karpathy tweets it out on February 2nd, and by April, it's being searched for twice as much as prompt engineering. That is an insane adoption curve.
Okay, so when something moves that fast, the entire industry has to react, right? And that's exactly what we're seeing. Established companies are having to completely rewire themselves just to keep up.
I mean, we're talking about legacy giants making massive pivots. You've got Airtable literally refounding itself to be an AI-native app platform. Then there's Asana launching its AI Studio for building AI-powered workflows. They know the deal. You adapt or you become a fossil.
And look, this threat to the big players is not theoretical. It's happening right now. This chart from Ramp is pretty telling. You see a tool like Cursor, which is built from the ground up for this kind of vibe coding, and it's actively stealing market share from a giant like GitHub's Copilot. The disruption is real.
And the sheer scale of what's being created now is just mind-boggling. Get this, a single hackathon weekend run by a platform called Lovable produced over 250,000 apps. 250,000 apps in one weekend. Let that sink in. That's more apps than were built in the first 5 years of the entire internet.
So, when you have that kind of insane, explosive growth, you know the big players are going to take notice. And of course they have. The titans of AI are now officially entering the fray, and they're making their big strategic moves.
So let's look at Google and Anthropic. They both just launched competing products, but they're taking completely different approaches. It's fascinating. Google's playing the volume game. Here's a free open source agent that lives in your terminal. Get as many developers using it as possible. Anthropic, on the other hand, is building it right into Claude's chat. They're creating these shareable artifacts, these little apps you can pass around, which could build a whole social layer on top of development. These are two completely different bets on how this whole thing is going to play out.
But here's the thing. This isn't just about coding faster. It's pointing to something way bigger. A future where software itself is, well, it's agentic. The very definition of an application is changing. And Amjad Masad, the CEO of Replit, said it perfectly. He said, software is going to become agents all the way down. So we're not talking about static lines of code anymore. We're talking about a future where software is just a team of autonomous agents, all working together to get stuff done.
And this new way of thinking, it's causing a huge economic shift. Let me give you a concrete example. Say a company needs some ERP automation, and they get a quote from a vendor. The price tag? $150,000. Pretty standard for enterprise software, right? Well, instead of writing that huge check, someone on Replit just built it themselves. Their cost? $400. From $150,000 down to $400. That's not just a discount, that's a 3 orders of magnitude drop. It just shows you the incredible deflationary power we're talking about here. Okay, so if building software is suddenly getting so cheap, what does that mean for developers? You might think their jobs are at risk, but it's actually the opposite. Their role isn't disappearing, it's evolving into something way more powerful.
It's kind of ironic, right? This quote from Aidan McLaughlin at OpenAI really hits it home. He says 80% of his code is now written by an AI, and he's writing more code than ever. AI isn't replacing developers, it's supercharging them. It's taking all the grunt work off their plate so they can focus on the big picture and just build more stuff.
And the way people are working is getting incredibly sophisticated. Check out this workflow from McKay Wrigley. It's wild. With one command, he spins up 3 different AI agents from 3 different companies all at once. He gives them all the same task, just using his voice, and then sits back and watches them work. Then he just picks the best result. He's not a coder in that moment. He's more like a conductor of an AI orchestra.
And that's just the beginning. The next step is these massive multi-agent systems. We're talking about a single orchestrator agent that's managing like 85 other sub-agents, all working in parallel. They can explore problem space, spitball designs, test ideas. It's a fundamentally different way to solve complex problems.
Which all leads to this one really provocative question that investors at places like Andreessen Horowitz are asking right now. And it's this: can a single, non-technical founder, armed with these new AI agents, actually outbuild an entire team of elite traditional engineers? Just think about that. The fact that we can even ask that question seriously, it just shows you how much the world has changed in the last few months.